It's round 5 of the European Team Chess Championship and only 4 other rounds remain, so the results will determine the future of the teams and if they will be able to fight for the top spots or settle for lower places. Switzerland clashed with Croatia, and Switzerland might not be known for being a chess hotspot or harboring a lot of strong chess players, but their team in the women's section is strong. But why? Not only is the strongest player in the tournament playing for Switzerland on board 1, Kosteniuk, but also the average age of the last boards is pretty low while the rating isn't that low. However, Kosteniuk did not play in round 5 against Croatia, so it is Medic Mirjana for Croatia against Lena Georgescu for Switzerland. This being said, let's just go to the game. Mirjana Medic, playing the white pieces, decides to play d4, and Lena Georgescu decides to play knight to f6 with the black pieces. White follows with knight to f3 and d5 played. It looks like a queen's pawn game, but white decides to transpose into a queen's gambit with c4, and after e6, knight to c3. You might remember a recent video which I have published a few days ago, analyzing the game Martirosyan against Ivan Saric, where Saric went for knight b to d7 and was able to win with a very risky plan. Also, this game took part during the European Team Chess Championship, but the men's section. In this game, black had other intentions. She played bishop to b4, pinning the knight. Now a normal move would be, or a main line would be bishop to g5 or a move like e3, but white decided to go for another very common move, queen to a4 check. But usually they say that we don't develop the queen too early. So what is the intention of this? Well, on the one hand, the queen is attacking the bishop on b4, on the other hand it's checking. So black has to play knight to c6, and now you see that the c pawn on c7 is blocked, it cannot move. Usually it is put on c6 or c5 in the queen's gambit. So this is the idea of white, forcing knight to c6 and later playing e3, because bishop to g5, which looks more active, is a little bit risky because of d takes c4, e4, bishop d7, and now white should watch out because there might be some annoying tactics with knight takes d4, a discovery attack against the queen, and if the queen takes on b4, takes the bishop on b4, then knight to c2 check, and the queen is lost. So white should watch out and therefore just play queen to c2, and then might follow h6, and black is already better here. But let's go back. So therefore e3 was played, a very common move. Black decides to castle, and now white retreats the queen to c2 because it's not doing much on a4 anyway. But the knight is already on c6 and white is happy. And now black should ask herself what to do in this position. What are the plans? And usually in the queen's gambit you either push c5 or e5. And you should make it work somehow, usually. Not always, but very often. And here black's c-pawn is blocked, so queen e7 played. She decides to later push the e-pawn. Bishop to d2, and we see if the e-pawn is pushed, then a pawn is lost. So e5 doesn't really work here. There's just too much pressure. So if she wants to play e5, she should take first on c4. But if she takes on c4, the bishop, which is still on f1, will be developed to a much better square. So f1 isn't a dream square of white, especially not the bishop, but c4 is. But still, the idea of e5 by black is so strong that it justifies d takes c4. And now the bishop can take on c4 and black plays e5. Now white should ask herself the question what to play here. And actually, white has two good continuations. Let's start with castling. If white castles, black should really watch out because a move like e4 looks aggressive but is too slow because of knight to g5, which is attacking the pawn a third time, while it's only defended twice. So black needs to defend it one more time, bishop f5, but then there's f3, and it's really annoying that the bishop on f5 is not protected. And the position of black isn't that good. So e4 is not working. Instead, e takes d4 is absolutely fine, and after knight takes d4, black basically has a choice if she takes on d4 and creates an isolated pawn for white, because this pawn has no neighboring pawns, it's isolated. Or she just plays a little bit more active knight to e5. And now we see this g4 square might be a little bit weak for white. So both players have chances. Bishop to e2 might follow, or should be played. And the position is equal. There is another plan. Not castling, but d5. And now the knight is attacked, so what should black do? Well, counterattack with queen to c5. The bishop is attacked. White must do something and decides to take on c6. Queen takes c4. And now knight takes e5, since the defender of the e5 pawn were the queen and the knight was eliminated and the queen is on c4, so the pawn can be taken. But after queen e6, the position is very equal, and both sides, or especially black, is happy to have equalized. So let's go back. In the game, the white player decided to play a very risky move. And this is d takes e5, probably not wanting to get the isolated pawn. But here follows knight to e5. Black puts the knight on the better square, is very happy, and now white decides to take on e5, so the knight is gone. And after queen takes e5, the queen takes part in the game from a very central square and cannot really be attacked, so the queen is also very happy on e5. Now the question is, what should white play? White should play very calmly and castle, or play something like bishop e2 and make sure that the king will be safe in a couple of moves. However, in the game, white decides to castle queenside, and this is already a very bad move and a very bad position. Bishop f5 follows. The queen has to move, or bishop to d3 played, but also this doesn't look too good. So the queen moves to b3, and black is much better already. Bishop c5, and now white plays h3, probably against knight g4 ideas. But now black has a very strong move. I want to know if you, or what you would play in this position. So if you want to share it, let me know in the comment section. In the game, black played the very strong b5. Now white can take the pawn 3 different ways, and every way is just not good. Let's start with queen takes b5. Then might follow rook a b8, queen a5, and now knight to e4, putting a lot of pressure against b2, very unpleasant. Then there might follow g4, so the variation is still not over. Now black has a very beautiful resource, and this is rook f to d8. Black is better. Why? G takes f5 is answered with knight takes d2, and if rook takes d2, white is already in a bad situation, because rook takes d2, king takes d2, rook takes b2 check, king e1, and now there's the very strong rook to b4 attacking not only the bishop, but also cutting off the defense of the knight. So white should really watch out what is happening, because it doesn't look too good. But let's go back and look at another move. What about knight takes b5? Well, then just bishop to g6, put the bishop on a protected square, bishop to c3, queen e7, and black is very happy. The b file is semi-open and white is in trouble. In the game, bishop takes b5 was played, and now black followed up with the strong c6 move, and White responded with bishop a6, then followed rook ab8 attacking the queen. After queen a4, the rook is putting pressure on b2 and also on b1. So if the b pawn is removed, white will be in great trouble, and we will see why in a minute. The rook b4 played, the queen has to move again, queen a5. So there's a little pin here, but it's not too annoying for black. Black just doubles on the b file, b3 played. And now it's again your turn. Let me know in the comment section what you would play here. Black found the brilliant rook takes b3, sacrificing a rook for 2 pawns, but the main idea is to checkmate. A takes b3, rook takes b3, and now black is completely winning. Moves like queen a4 do not defend against the mate, because there's simple bishop a3 check. Now the queen is forced to take because there's no other legal move, and suddenly it is black who is up material, and white's king is still threatened. Let's go back. In the game, f4 was played, then followed queen takes c3, a brilliant queen sacrifice. And now after, let's say, queen takes c3, there's checkmate on b1, so this doesn't work. And after bishop takes c3, there's bishop takes e3 check. Now a piece must move to d2, and then black is going to checkmate with rook to b1. Therefore, white decided to resign here. A very beautiful game by black. I hope you liked this video. If you want to see the game Ragozin against Ivan Saric, click on the video next to me. If you want to see more of such videos, feel free to subscribe to the channel. See you.